It's Friday! What I'm doing right now is I'm just looking in the engine compartment. I have made a motor mount yesterday. This is what it looks like. If Jolene wants to show you what it looks like, she can show you exactly what it looks like. What I've done is I've put it in there. I want to put tabs or ears on both sides of the mount, and then I'll bolt this mount to the chassis. Right now I just self-tapered it, so that's where I can get at it. I know it fits because we got the bolt down to the motor mount. We've got this bolted on, and then when I get the body off, then I can go in there and make them ears and do a real nice job on it, drill it, and bolt it on, because this has to come off to get that motor out. And that's what Doug was talking about, making a cradle. What I have done there, I more or less just took from what the original was, and it just was a mount like that on the side of the frame. But we're making this car, so we had to make the motor mount. And right now I'm going to make another motor mount just to show you how I done it. On this side, the motor mount on the engine was left. The rubber mount was off. It come off and it was off, and I got to play with it with the rubber mount off. On the other side, where it's hard to get at, the rubber motor mount is still bolted on and it's in place. I'm happy about that because I can't get it off anyways, because I can't get my hand up in there to get the motor mount off, or the rubber mount. So what I'm going to do is, on this one, I'm going to have to leave it on, and I'll make it right where it's at. And as I'm making this, the engine has been centered by the eye. I have a gap going on here in between. I have Jeff's wood in there with a piece of cardboard so it doesn't hurt it, but it's just the right gap that I want, so I used it. We've got it tied over there with a coat hanger so it stays in the middle. I've got this engine mount in place, so all I have to do is go to the other side, make the other engine mount, get that in place. I do not have to finish it, I just have to get it in place so where I can let the engine cradle itself. What I will do is then I'll have to come in on the inside here. I will have to cut more to the floor. I will put the transmission on, and then it will be underneath the car to make the mount to hold the transmission. That's what I'm going to do, or that's where I'm at. But right now I'm going to make a engine mount on the other side here. And what I have is I tore an engine mount apart that I had on the other car, or that Bernie gave me, kind of fell apart. This was the mount. This was the mount that was on the car originally. So you can see how it bolted to the car, or yeah, it looked like it bolted to the car, obviously. This is the mount here, and I've got the same sort of thing going on the frame, but just a lot bigger. You know, it's just a lot bigger. It had to be because of the distance of the chassis. I am building this car to fit, so that's what we have done. So we've got one side in place, it's centered, so we're pretty good to make the other side. We just got to make it fit tight. This is a pattern of the rubber mount on the passenger side, and what I'm going to do is I use this plate on this side, so I'm going to use this. I cut the same piece for the other side. I'm going to cut a couple holes in this, and I'm going to mount this to the rubber mount on this side, and then I will perform making patterns to make metal to go to it and tack it on, so when I pull it off, I will have a mount to weld up or fix. So here we go, this is how I'm going to do it. So that's the rubber mount we have on the bottom of the car. If you want to come take a look this way, just so you know. I'm going to take the light and put it right on it. The rubber mount is right there. I'm pointing on right there. That's the rubber mount. It's hard to get up. I don't want to get underneath the car at all. Not even close. Not even close. Don't want to get underneath the car. The power steering, see the power steering cover right there? I might take a little chunk out of that square tubing there. It will not hurt anything because it's, you know, there's no filler there. The filler's on the other side of this weld coming towards this way. So I can take a little chunk out of that. I'll mark that before we take the body off, and I'll take a little chunk out of it, and so that cover will turn off and on. That's how close everything is. That's what you call a supercar, you know, when things are close. So right now I'm going to cut the square piece, cut 2 holes, and I'm going to bolt it to that rubber mount, and then I'm going to make patterns for metal to go to it to fit. And that's exactly what I'm going to do and show you and perform right in front of your very eyes. I'm going to turn on the air. We didn't mic up, so I'll try to talk loud. Oh, air's already on. That's good, I'm ahead of myself. When the green light comes on, it's all good. When any red lights come on, it's not so good, you have to take a look. So, where did I push that at? I had that in my hand just a second ago, did I not? Did I take it over there and see or leave it there? Where did I put that? I thought I had it. I did have it. A pair of vice grips and the metal clamped together. I'd lose my head today if it was not attached, but it's attached, so I'm good. If I get the other motor mount in this today, that'll be another great thing because the motor will be where it's supposed to be. Where did I put that? Did I leave it anywhere sitting on anything? Come on. That's what I got it here. I got it. I found it. Play hide and go seek. All right, here we go. So this is the rubber mount shape and the two holes. So I'm just going to put two holes in it. Then I'm going to cut them out and I'll bolt this piece to the rubber mount. And this is the easiest way I'm going to do it. There. That was just a hole to place it. How that blew a hole in there, I don't know. The ground is not on there, but whatever. See that? I ground it there and blew the hole in that. So now I'm just going to cut a couple holes in this. Kind of quick and dirty, but right now at the present moment I just want to get it on there and get it done. After I get it all done, then I can clean up and come back and, you know, die grind or whatever I want to do. Clean up. So, I'm going to put on my gloves too, I think. We want a couple nut and bolt. What happens, if you ever come across anybody that puts them quonsets up and they get the nuts and bolts to put them together, generally there'll be a lot's left over. And if you know anybody that has put one up, they're good people to buy the nuts and bolts from or get the nuts and bolts from in your shop. I use them non-stop. We bought them on the mountain. A couple buckets come in and we bought them. They were the right price and they do a nice job. Alrighty, I'm going in here to bolt that on. Let's take my gloves off for a second. I'll do that with gloves on. I'm going to bolt that on there now. Isn't that always the way? Gotta drop one, or it wouldn't be fair. I put the cradle back underneath the engine in case it fell. Why not? Makes sense to me, I guess. In case it fell. I get that down through there now. Trying to get my fingers out of this. There we go. We're in quite a spot, but that's when you know, or that's when it lets you know how good you are, what you can work in. If you can work in a bushel, in a little tiny hole and get the same job done, well, he's probably done it before. If he hasn't, well, look at that, I missed that. That just explains right there. Missed that altogether. Bolt her up, baby, she wasn't even in the hole. Come on. Bolt her up and she wasn't even in the hole. I don't know. Get it not on that way. Well, not bolt it on the other way, I guess. There. That red hose could probably go away, but sometimes it's all in how you hold your tongue. Ah, jeez. Haven't had time here. Haven't had quite a time here. Oh well, that's what it's all about. So I'm just gonna bolt that up. Decent. Finger tight, I guess, would be good enough. Now, when I have nutted that on there, we'll be able to get it from the underneath the chassis. I will close the bracket in on the top side, and we'll be able to get it from the underneath side on that side. So right now, that bracket's just floating there on that rubber mount. Now I'm going to have to make something come to it. And what it is I just looked here before I get down and really get going. All I'm trying to do is make sure, trying to see if the engine's in the center, and it is. It doesn't matter to me if it's off that much or that much, you know what I mean? As long as it's in center, you know. I can mess with it, mess with it, mess with it, mess with it. But does a person really need to do that? Not necessary. That's what universals are for. And what I have here now is I got a cut piece of cardboard where it was easier on the other side. I took a cut piece of cardboard and set them in there and cut them and made it work after that. So this one right here is just a cut piece of cardboard that I had cut before. I'm going to jam it in there and see what happens. That's all I'm going to do is jam it in there and see what happens. Where I have motor written on it, that is the angle of the motor mount. Okay, that's the angle. So I'm setting that on that lip. What I'm doing is I'm setting it down on that lip. I can't see it, but what I'm doing is setting that down on that lip and trying to get the angle to go with that motor mount, but I'm doing it on the other side of the chassis. Switch my head here, and it's motor on that side. And see, you can see how it's on the right angle, but we're not far enough down, so it needs to be longer. This one's on, if I put this one on this side, does not work. Too long. Okay. It says motor on that side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this piece of cardboard. I'm going to mark it at the chassis, at there, and I'm going to mark it to the top where the motor mount hits. So this is what I'm going to do after that. I'm going to pull this out. This is my angle here that I want to go from the frame over to the mount. I'm going to get a little over here first. Yeah, so we're doing this on the fly. I hope that I can keep you busy enough in the brain to keep you occupied. So this is setting on the frame. This is on the side of the frame. This is a little lip that sticks out and sits on. This is where it comes the top of the frame out to the top of the motor mount. I have this much of the plate that I just put in there on this angle. I have that much of the plate. So what's going to happen is that plate I used, I think is 3-inch. I'm going to cut this off first. That's going from the chassis over, that's going from the chassis over to the plate. That much of the plate I had on that angle, so this is what I'm going to do. That plate is 3-inch, it says, 3-inch. So I'm going to add 3 inches to that angle. So I'm going to add 3 inches. This cardboard here. Actually, that's 3 inches. This is the other side that I had, and this is the angle. Not sure if I'm going to use that angle. Yeah, we'll just go like that. I don't like how I did that. You might as well do it this way. Make it square with that. I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to measure that 3 inches. Perfect. And then straight down. Now, this angle here should be 3 inches. It should be 3 inches. So I got a little more than 3 inches. So I can come back here and cut that a little more, cut that off. Actually, if that sits on the chassis, so this is the chassis here. This is the chassis. This is how the mount's going out like this, connecting to the plate I put on. That's the angle of the plate. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, when it goes to the angle of the plate, when it's done, I'm just going to cut it back to the frame. I know there's 1 inch sticking out at the bottom of the chassis. This is the side of the chassis. There's 1 inch hanging out this way, a 90. So I'm just going to take this and bring it down like that. Make a straight line. So what's going to happen is, this is what I'm hoping. I might have made it all too quick. But I'm hoping that fits along the side of the chassis. That sits on the lip at the bottom of the chassis. That goes up to the bottom of the plate that I put on, and that's the top of the plate I put on. Let's do it. And nothing is set in stone, so let's, just play it that way. Nothing's set in stone, so we'll just play it that way. If it does not fit, it does not fit. What can I say? But I'm pretty sure it probably will with a little bit of common sense and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I got a dog. So, chassis, lip, up to the bottom of the plate, top of the plate. On the back side. Here we go. So, if I put that in there, that fits really nice. Fits really nice. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here and trace the bottom of the plate this is a real important thing. What I'm going to say is, if the plate is laying on the top, if the plate's laying on the top, and I tack it in there, that means I'll be welding the edge with the plate on top, and there'll be a big booger on the side of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there, I'm going to put it on there again. I'm going to trace the underneath of that plate on the pattern, and trace underneath, then I'll cut a little bit off. So when I put it on there, when I tack it, I'll have the metal like this instead of like this. You know what I mean? The plate is going to be, I want the plate not like this, so the big booger lays on the side. I want the plate pulled back a little bit so we can put the weld right in the 45, right in the empty spot. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my marker. Go underneath here, make it fit the best it can to the naked eye. To the naked eye. Fits good on the side of the chassis, fits good down the bottom of the chassis. I'm just going to take and run my marker right up like that, right like that. So this is important too. I guess it's all important, I guess. If I've marked that like that, that means the metal is right. That means the metal is right there. So I'll just cut it. I cut it on top of the black on the line, so I have that 45 up there. And if you do not, well then that's the. Now I should have left enough of the line to give me my 45 when I tack it on. Let's try it one more time. Let's try it one more time. Looks good to me. I can see right a little spot right there. I can tack it on there, tack it on there. Nice. So I'm going to take this piece and go over and get it made out of the plasma cutter as quick as possible, and then run back over and do another one. What I like to do, I usually like to use the biggest straight edge we can on the cut. So we know we're cutting the line, so we're cutting the black line this time. We're not staying on either side of it, we're cutting the line. We're cutting the line. Oh, she's still going there. What I like to do is use a straight edge to cut it. It's nice to get it right in place where you want it, and then cut it. You can see how I did that. Also, when you're cutting with a plasma cutter, you watch, I can leave it like that and do a nice straight line, or I can not pay attention and lean it in and screw it up, you know what I'm saying? So it's generally pay attention. Makes a big difference if you're wanting it to fit, you know. Makes a big difference if you want it to fit. Oh, we're all good. not that hot. We're going to go to the other side. Hopefully we haven't got much to do to it to make it fit, hopefully. I can just slide it up in there and I can turn the welder and tack it on. I'm hoping. But the test is in the fit. The test is in the fit. Here we go. Gotta get gloves on. What? Gotta get gloves on. To hold it anyway. And if we do that, let me see where we're at. Get my head in there and take a look. That's the only way to do it, really, is get in there and take a look, you know. As I've got it in there, I see I'm plenty tall. Yeah, I'm plenty tall. I have to get my marker out of my pocket and shear this again. There's another marker right there. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the pattern. Take and put it in there, shear the top off. We'll get it to fit right. There we go. Cool. Cool. Let's shear that much off. Remember where the metal's at. I do. I remember where the metal's at. Use one. Sweetheart. My hammer's over here. Just going to tack it on. Also, when I tack it on, I'm not going to get crazy and tack it too many places. We'll just tack it in a couple of places, and then we'll go from there. This motor mount has to be removable, like the other side has to be removable. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put these in place. I'm going to put this in place and weld it in there. Like say this is, that's where it sits like this. That's the chassis here on this side. This is the little, this is the plate that we have on the motor. When I'm, when it's all done, I'm going to have a lip on this, a 90 with a couple holes in it, that I can bolt it to the chassis and take it off. And that's what I'll make after I get everything in place, pull the body off. Then I can do all that stuff. And when I do this and I connect it to the chassis, I know exactly where it goes. There's no getting it wrong, hopefully. I'll know exactly where it goes because I have it tacked in place. And that's, to me, the benefit. To me, that is the benefit. When you do the whole thing, what I need to do it. I'll get set up here first. I'm going to take the ground and put it right on the mount itself. That way there I have no qualms about the ground. Get that done. How am I too short now? How's that happen? How's that happen? I'm not going to sweat it, and I'll tell you the reason why. I'm not going to sweat it. I am a little shy there for some reason, but I'm not going to sweat it because I'm going to have gap to weld it. So I've probably got an 1/8 of gap. That's a good gap to weld shut. It's 8th plate, no problem whatsoever. So I am not going to go over and to try to do another one because of the gap. I'm going to use the gap to my benefit and make sure of the penetration. That's basically it. Basically it. Hey. Whew. Good spot there. Not well. My ground is off. Beautiful. Now just gotta get it to stay there and weld it there. There you go. That's nice. That fits nice. Nice. Beautiful. 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 Talking myself into it anyways. Beautiful. Comes out, fits on the chassis nice. Awesome. So now, as you can see, I got that little gap in there. There's a nice little gap to fill that full weld. Very nice. All you did, I might even grind it back a little bit if I have to when I get it off, but there's a nice little gap in there. Good. Awesome. Now I have to make a plate for the other side. I have this pattern in here. It's not it. Pattern's over here, is it not? So I have, this is the pattern for the back. What patterns is on this, I can't use the same one, I have to make two different ones. The chassis comes up front and the middle comes narrower. So as I'm putting this in here, the chassis gets closer to the mount. I'm going to use this one. I should be able to mark the line and cut it off just like the other one, hopefully. Get it in there. Beautiful. So I got it. Awesome. Awesome. So now what I'll do is I'll get in here. Sits down the bottom of the chassis. We got to look at the same. What I'm just looking for is this distance here from there to there, from here to there, the same as there to there. That's all I'm looking for because I haven't capped this yet. And I want to make it look good, not poopy. So I'm going to leave that black line. And I can see that this veers off here. It's just a little too long. This little tab here is a little bit long, I see. So I grind that down. I'm just wondering if I should take it off this one now. I probably should. And I'm going to try this on before I go over there and cut it in the plasma cutter. Just a sliver. Jesus. I need a hoe. Ha! Yeah. I did a lot of hoe in my day. Hoed many fields. You ever hoe before, baby? Hoe fields before? Hoe. I gotta cut that off, make that look half decent. I'm gonna do a second, and then I'm gonna cut it out on the metal. What I'll do is I'll take the flapper wheel, knock that one down a little bit before I get in there. So, this is what we got. Get over there. Beautiful. Beautiful. Fits the bottom nice, fits everything nice. So I'll come in there and weld that just like that. Then what I'll do is I'll take a piece and cap it. Then I'll take a piece and lay it on here and tack it on this and screw it down. And that's where it goes, or that's where it's at. So this here. Transfer this to a piece of metal. I like to work fast. Well, I like to work fast when we do the videos, but I like to work fast anyways because I feel like I'm getting something done. I like it that way. I feel like I'm getting something done. We'll do it this way. Trying to get the most out of my metal, as everybody should. Most out of it. Turn it on. Oh, it's on. Everything's good to cut. Get some ground. Throwing sparks on you, baby. You're hot. My baby's hot. And that's the truth. Hey, baby. That's the truth. Get him over here to knock the slag off. Just knocking the slag off. And all this stuff that I'm doing will all be finished when the body comes off. I have to know where things are at before I take it all apart. If I do not know where it's at before I take it apart, I'm asking for trouble. Is what I'm doing. I'm asking for trouble. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I want some more of it. Let me see how far apart that is. I'm going to turn the welder on. I'm going to do it. What I'm doing is I'm holding it in place. I'm putting the welder right where I want it to weld. I'm closing my eyes and I'm plunking the weld on it. I'm plunking weld on it. Where am I going to plug it? Yeah. See my mount moving? See that? I don't like that. I don't like that moving. I gotta take a smidgen off. Just a smidgen, I guess, I think. Gotta take a smidgen off. Not going to do it. Just gonna cut it off real quick. Let me get it, whatever, I'm just gonna do it. Hey, you see my little light? Where'd that little light go? What's the little, you know what the little light is? There it is, on the other side of the situation. On the other side of the situation. Awesome. That worked good. Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what has to happen is, you just want to come take a look. See how I have one piece running out to the metal on top, another piece running out to the metal on the other side. Now what's going to happen is I got to come in and cap that. And then what I mean by cap that is I've got to take a piece of cardboard and lay it on top of it and go around and tack it on so it's capped. And then I'll weld along the top of, I'll weld along this edge, up this edge, and this edge. This edge seems to be up a little bit. I might get in and get the flapper wheel, or actually it's not that bad. Actually, there's a little bit of gap there. It'd be nice to weld that gap together to make it nice and sturdy. What I want to do right now is just see if this distance here, from there to there, is the same down here. That's all I'm wondering now. And once I find that out, and you can see how the chassis is coming up and in, so each piece had to be made individually. I'm going to take a little piece of paper and make a cap for that. I want to get a piece of paper. Can you turn that off, sweetheart? Nah, let's get a piece of paper. I'm just going to sit this on top of it, make a square with my finger, like crease it like Jolene said. Jolene points that out. Seems to be easy that way. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this piece of paper. I'm going to take the square, the straight edge, and put it on the top where the rusty metal is on there, where the plate is, and I'll do the marking down this way. I'll show you what I mean. Take the light off. I'll put the straight edge up where that way. You know what I'm saying? Then I just come in here, put a mark on either side of that. And I sort of have to know where the edge of the frame is too. So this is my top of my metal, edge of my frame. My scissors. Yeah. Pair of real scissors. I'm trying to eat those for 4 or 5 years. Jolene's hair cutting scissors. Jolene is such a woman to me, she even cuts my hair. She cuts my hair. And you can see this pattern. It's not a square. There's a shape to it. Usually why. Yeah. And I know where the shape is. The shape is on the chassis. I can cut it out of that, but there's a flag on the side of it. We'll cut it right here. I'm going to use a straight edge. Oh, it's supposed to be straight edges, wouldn't it? Turn it off. That's what happens with no ground. I'm gonna cut this in, guys. Got a round shape to it, so that's why I did that for. Gonna try the metal on. Like that there, that's not bad. Straighten that line up there a little bit. Straighten this out a little bit with a flapper wheel. Take the edges off a little bit. And then I'll tack this on. Flapper wheel. Did you move some? Sometimes it's good to put the tools back, but other times, did you see where the flapper wheel went, baby? It was on the floor right there. I moved it. Here we go. Hopefully it fits this time. Beautiful. I'm going to put that up there like that. I'm going to tack it on each side. If I do not get the metal fitting right, if I do not get the metal fitting right exactly what I'm doing right there right now, keep in mind when the body comes off, that's the time when you grind it back to make it fit. That's the time. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. I got a little bit high on this side. Okay. You can see how the metal's hanging over there a little bit on this edge. That will be ground back and done right. It'll have to be, but for now, where I'm in such a spot is not the time. That'll be tacked there and fixed after we get everything in place. Now what I need is a lip. I want a lip on this chassis to lay on there so I can bolt it to the chassis. That's just sitting there right now for the placement of it. Now we're going to put a lip on it. And we'll put a lip on it this way to bolt this side of the chassis. And we'll put a lip on this side to bolt to the chassis. Right now is I'm going to cut a piece of this. Cut it right now. And bring over mark. Hopefully that's long enough. So I just blew that off real fast. Just blew it off. What I want to do is I want to come in here and lay it on. Looks good to me there. I just want to make this straight, that's all. Goes on there like that. We'll tack that there and there. Bolts go down through there and there. So we'll put 2 holes in it and cut it at the same time. To the ground. Cut this off real quick. Oh, this is what I'm going to do too. Put 2 holes in it now while it's here. Just big enough for maybe a self-tapper for now. We'll deal with the holes later. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm not, going to a press and drilling the holes out, and I'm trying to build it as fast as possible. And that hole does not matter unless it don't work. Take this here. I'm going to weld this on. This is our plate. It sits on top of the chassis. So this mount is going to be removable. It's going to be removable. I'm going to put a helmet on to tack that because I can. Watch your eyeballs, sweetheart. There we go, and then we'll put screw down through there. And we'll put an ear on this side and an ear on that side. And that's how I made the motor mounts for Jolene's Bugatti. It was simple as that. It was taking cardboard patterns and applying them to metal. And they had to be done that way because I didn't have anything to fit. I had to make it. So as the engine had to go from the underneath, as we watched the last one, I know that the mounts have to be removable off the frame. So I'm going to make ears on them, have them detached. You'd have to put the engine hoist on. You'd have to unbolt it, pull them out, and then let the engine down through the underneath. But as we get rocking and rolling, it sure feels like we're getting somewheres. We'll see what happens there, and then I'll be moving right on to the transmission mount. So I'm going to come in here and I'll end up chiseling some more metal on the inside of it, and I'll mount the transmission, and we'll try to get the transmission mount going. We know where that is because I've got that in there now. And we know it's in the right place. Why? Because the engine's in place. Makes sense to me. And then we'll go for the brakes and that sort of stuff. Have a good Friday, everybody! That's how we make motor mounts. Put it where you want it and build to it.